Alright, does this work? Should work. Alright, hello everyone and welcome to the 9th episode of Champions Corner, a For Honor podcast. Today we have two guests, kind of last minute, but Kawai and Chujak, who are you and what do you do? So Kawai first.
I'm Kawai, and I mostly do testing and play Shinobi. That's pretty much it.
Amazing. Chujak.
Basically, I just play For Honor competitively, and that's it.
Damn, you guys are really amazing. Really happy for these personalities on my stream. Okay, and the last guest is Zero Craig. So hello, Craig.
Hello.
Hello, the undisputed best Jungjun in the game right now.
Of course.
Of course, okay. So these are the amazing introductions. I'm happy with these guests. So just to roadmap this kind of for you guys. Today we'll be talking about Shinobi. So about Shinobi's kind of rise, let's say in 1v1. He is low S tier, most likely, or high A tier in 1v1 specifically. And then we'll be talking about the open test because that's obviously the biggest topic, and also we'll be mentioning some smaller things. So let's start off with news. So the only news that I have really something to talk about here is the guard switch bug fix that happened. What was in the last Thursday, right? So a few days ago on both the live game and the open test. So if you're playing the open test, you're playing the game with the guard switch bug fixed. And what this means is that every character with 400 mass attacks has now become a lot better. Like for example, Berserker is now probably one of the best characters in the game, if not the best in 1v1. Characters like maybe slightly Shaman, PK, they've become a slightly bit better in terms of offense. Orochi has become a lot better. Any other character those will be the main characters, and then of course from Marching Fire, characters like Tiandi or Nusha are a lot better because the guard bug is fixed compared to what they would be if the guard weren't fixed. So that's kind of it. Has anything else happened? I guess
that's the main one, right?
Yeah, when it comes to in-game things, that's the main one. But there's also the kind of the elephant in the room with the last outrage about the voice lines. So I guess that's kind of news, but obviously that doesn't really fit the podcast. But there was the big outrage on Reddit with Ubisoft not handling it the best possible way.
I wonder where they got all those clips that were shared everywhere.
Yeah, I wonder. Twitch.tv/Alernakin. You can check my clips. Maybe you can see some of them.
By the way, guys, September.
September, by the way, it starts tomorrow, I think. So yeah, when it comes to news, like the guard bug fix is the biggest one for us for the game. The Reddit one with the voice lines and things like that, that would be probably the biggest one for Reddit, but for us the guard bug fix is the biggest one. Okay, so I mean there's nothing else. There's been no tournaments or anything like that. So let's move on to... Wait, do I have this? I know I have this on the second monitor. So let me move on to the second monitor. Second overlay. Okay, Shinobi. So Kawai, what happened with Shinobi and why is he randomly not low A tier or high B tier or whatever he was on the tier list before, and now he's randomly almost S or S tier?
Yeah, so Shinobi was like low A tier on Scorebound's tier list, mostly just due to the fact that the way that Shinobi was designed originally in the game is just this sort of cancerous design of, well, if you play against Shinobi, you're playing Shinobi's game. And it's just that Shinobi's game was just so bad that he couldn't really do anything, but he made it so that no one else could do anything either, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was sort of made him low A by itself. The fact that he just had extremely high damage, most characters in the game couldn't catch him, and it was just if Shinobi got an HP lead against almost every standard guard hero, or like non-Orochi, non-PK, he could just turtle forever. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can just multi-dash away, unlock, sprint away, walk backwards, and nothing hits him. And what made him rise to low S is that Shinobi finally got a way to hit someone to get that HP lead, right? With slide tackle not having any recovery at all. So you can just start spamming slide tackle, get that HP lead you need, and then stall for time, essentially. And just use that ability to stall for time to secure victories in ranked or in tournaments, essentially. And that's what brought him sort of to the bottom of S tier.
Yeah, also a big thing about that is that in tournaments, I would think he's a little bit worse, right? Compared to ranked, where ranked... Well, a lot of tournaments don't even have a time limit on a round. Or maybe they have like a 10-minute timer or something like that. But then a ranked game obviously has 3-minute timer on each round. So it's a lot easier to get that HP and keep it.
Extremely good in ranked. Except of course for the map pool is kind of an issue for Shinobi, because he tends to excel at very large maps where he can just sort of kite forever. So maps like certain parts of Canyon can be quite aids for Shinobi, especially the fissure.
Yeah, but then some of them can be can be quite interesting.
And some of them can be quite interesting, where you can kite around just pillars for the entire game, and characters can't catch up to you.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some of like Shinobi's? So if someone randomly does play, so first of all, let's kind of talk about still Shinobi. So if someone does play ranked and is at a decently high level, they might end up fighting against the Shinobi. There's you and then there's a few in the EU, right? So they might end up playing a Shinobi playing somewhat like that, or maybe at least similarly to this. So what are some of the bad matches for Shinobi? Are there any, like, and why are they bad, if they are?
Yeah, so there's like majorly there's 4 in the current live game. There's about to be 2 more, with Tiandi and Shaolin being somewhat decent against Shinobi as well. But the main ones are PK and Orochi are the only real characters that can put up somewhat of an offense against Shinobi. Because they're the only heroes that can really catch up to Shinobi and then have 400 MS lights, which is hard for Shinobi to deal with his guard. Same thing with sort of Shaolin. When Shaolin gets introduced, Shaolin can sort of catch up or space Shinobi with his long tracking 400 MS lights. And then Conk and Glad are very weird, where they're the only characters that can put an offense on Shinobi after he slide tackles them, which is very weird, because Conk has this sort of mix-up between he can deflect the Shinobi's second light on the slide, or he can bash the Shinobi after he gets slide tackled, or he can top light, and that catches the backflip. And if Shinobi backflips the bash, he can't punish the bash, because ranged GB just randomly goes through the bash and doesn't track it properly. Glad has similar, where he can deflect the second light, he can do the dash forward light, or he can zone, right? So Glad and Conk can just put an offense on Shinobi every time that the Shinobi hits them. And Orochi and PK are the only characters that can catch up to Shinobi.
Okay. So alright, so yeah, if anyone's trying to play ranked and is randomly playing as Shinobis, then those would be the characters, but yeah, probably you won't be playing many characters, like many Shinobis, like Krag and Chujak. Have you played many Shinobis in ranked? Because I can talk about my experience, and it's not very fun, but Krag, have you played any Chujak?
I haven't played really any Shinobis in ranked.
No.
People just stick to Warden, so...
Yeah, most of them are Warden, like Kong sometimes as well. That's the most...
I would prefer to deal with a Warden than what Shinobi can do.
100%. At least Warden's punishable.
Yeah.
It's like from my experience playing on the EU, there's a few Shinobis who somewhat play like this. Not obviously not 100% perfect, but they somewhat play like this. It's a struggle. It's a nightmare to play against this, and it just makes me not want to play ranked ever again. And many times it did make me go play something else. For example, if people have been watching my stream, they know. So it's a big nightmare, big struggle to play against this hero. So I think the Kawaii, like the easiest parallel between Shinobi and any other character would be Warlord. So I was so maybe instead of talking about the Warlord matchup, how about we talk about kind of the differences or the similarities between him and Warlord defensively?
Okay, so the similarities is it's very much the unlocked playstyle of you just you threaten with the slide tackle, right, and then you respond to their respond, right, and that's kind of like the big thing about Warlord is you threaten with the crashing charge and then you respond to their response. Shinobi fares better than Warlord on maps where Warlord can't easily hit a wall. So like on Sanctuary, on Ring, where if you're on Ring and you stand in the center, like that little blue circle, Warlord can never hit a wall, ever. So Shinobi has that advantage where he doesn't need a wall ever to hit the slide tackle. Shinobi also has the advantage in damage, where Shinobi, if he parries someone, he gets 40. If he deflects someone, he gets 50. If he does a light parry, he gets 27 instead of 25. But he has much lower HP, and he has Reflex Guard, which is an issue. So if you lock on with Reflex Guard, you don't automatically have your guard up, so you have to lock on earlier. He does less damage on the slide, of course, because he does only 14 confirmed. The slide is much, much less punishable than Crashing Charge, and that's the big difference, is that Crashing Charge is punishable by dodge attacks.
Dodge attack is... Yeah, Crashing Charge is punishable by dodge attacks into a follow-up also sometimes, depending on the character, of course. Yeah. But like Kensei gets 40 damage of... Kensei gets 40 damage of dodging Crashing Charge against Shinobi. Kensei gets deflected for dodging
and then like so like if you do the what is it, like the what people call like the shit that like really bad warlords do, where they charge like 50 meters away start their charge 50 meters away from you. If Shinobi does that and you try and dodge attack him, you're getting deflected and you're eating 50.
Yep. It's a lot of fun.
It doesn't have any GB vulnerability, unlike Warlords. So if you dodge it, you don't have to cancel into... Warlord has to like cancel into the dodge or into the jump heavy to avoid getting GB'd. Shinobi doesn't. Shinobi just doesn't have GB vulnerability at all. It's like if Raider like dodge GBs the slide tackle, the Raider gets GB'd instead of the Shinobi. This happened on screens of the Tiandi. Where the Tiandi whiffs the GB and then Shinobi gets a confirmed punish. Shinobi has no dodge vulnerability either out of slide tackle or block vulnerability, so you can immediately dodge. So I was playing against Raves Conk in MM, and I was doing this, and because I was doing the more like in-your-face slide, I could hyper armor through Conk Bash and then dodge his light attack because it's well designed.
Okay. So that's all fun, but if there's so that's Shinobi right now. So what would be some of your suggestions for Ubisoft to fix about Shinobi?
I would like to see. I think Shinobi should be a good 1v1 hero because I think that's like sort of like his niche, right? Especially I think that's a good niche for him in fours, right? He's this in a multiplayer fight, he's sort of a pest, but he's more like a character that's meant to get picks, right? You know, like the MOBA assassin, right? I think that's like a better theme for him. So I'd like to see his 1v1s get buffed offensively, and then like high recovery nerfs, like on everything, but just have and damage nerfs. But I'd like to see him be a good 1v1 hero because of his offense, not because of his evasiveness, his recovery, and his damage.
Yeah, that can be applied to many characters like Valk, Nobushi, Tiandi. Tiandi when he comes out, Shinobi, Jungjun,
and I think Shinobi's. I think Shinobi is just like the epitome of it, which is kind of the issue. Shinobi is just the epitome of all of his good things, like his good stats, are in all the wrong places.
Yeah, it's like if Nobushi could attack in like the most cancer way possible. Like that's the character.
Exactly.
Like
that's the character. It's if Nobushi could attack in the most cancer way possible, and then could even avoid things like Warden and Conk even easier.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's about it for Shinobi. I hate Shinobi. I want to be done with this topic as quick as possible. I just wanted to bring some light to this and to kind of playstyle that Shinobi promotes, and that there's been no kind of nothing being said about Shinobi ever by the devs or any character in the similar vein. Like Valk is apparently like treated as the third best dual hero in the game. So, and Nobushi is apparently fine. So, characters like that have never been talked about by the devs. So, just kind of we wanted to talk about, or on this podcast at least, to bring some visibility to the issue. Okay, so now that we've talked about the depressing part of the podcast, let's go to the slightly less depressing part of the podcast. Open test. So, the open test started on the 6th. There was a little bit of early access before, and for YouTubers and streamers, and for competitive players, and it started on the 6th, and it ends at I think the 10th, if I remember correctly, the 10th of September. So all the things that are going to be except the arcade mode, all the things that are going to be in oh, my cat really wants to talk about the issue here. So all the things that are going to be in Marching Fire are in this open test, except for arcade, as far as I understand. Maybe there's going to be some other surprises or smaller things, like maybe different gear or something, but out of like gameplay things outside from arcade, everything that is in this test is like the Marching Fire expansion. We don't know if there's going to be any changes, but knowing Ubisoft, probably not. So this is most likely the more or less final version of Marching Fire that we'll be playing on the 16th of October. So the things that the cats are fighting. I hope they just kind of kill each other, so I can have a little bit of calm. So let's start with Breach. Actually, I think actually no, with perks. Let's start with perks. So perks is a new system that the devs have implemented, and it kind of replacing gear stats, right? So every character has their own unique set of perks. That doesn't mean that every character has unique perks, but they have unique set of perks, right? Each class has different perks. Assassins have offensive perks, heavies have defensive perks, if I remember correctly, and then hybrids have kind of different mixes of all of these. So here on the screen, I think we see like Jung Jun's perks or something like that. This is Freeze's video on the topic. So perks are supposed to be kind of the better version of gear stats, or they're supposed to be kind of the replacement for gear stats. So what do you guys think about what do you guys think about the perks? So let's start with Crag and just go down the list. What do you guys think about? Oh no! What is this thumbnail?
Oh no!
Oh no! I'm sorry, guys. Freeze has gone down the wrong path. Okay, Craig, what do you think about the perk system so far?
I'm just really glad gear stats are gone.
Okay.
Well, that is the first thing. It's like, oh, thank God, gear stats are gone. And then the second thing was just kind of looking through them. Now I haven't gone through each like class or hero or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
See what all the different kinds of perks, like, or sets of perks you said between them are, to see if people have uneven distributions. Like, do some heroes just have all garbage ones? I didn't look into that, so I can only say really from playing like JJ the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's very clear perks that are good, and then there's a line where all these perks are bad.
Yeah, specifically the line seems to be the defensive perks are good, offensive perks are bad. That seems to be the line right now. Not all offensive perks are bad, and not all defensive perks are amazing, but most of the really good ones are the defensive perks.
There's a number of dead perks. Like back when, I know with gear stats, there used to be, I can't remember if it was changed, or whatever anyway. Everyone used to run just the same Revenge Game build, Season 1, right? Just everyone. Because it was a brain dead choice. Like, that is the way you min-max it or optimize it, and it's the same for every single hero, and that's the way you play it. And I think that's the same for each class with perks. You'll always pick the 3 perks, nothing else. You won't even consider any other ones.
Yeah, when I was thinking of what perks to run for, well, for my characters, that would be Valk and Nobushi, and earlier on Shaolin as well. I wasn't really thinking. I was like, oh, okay, so like for Valk and Nobushi, they're both hybrids. I think they both have the same perks or very similar perks, and they all have the really good perks. So both Nobushi and Valk have the perk that makes revives 75% health. They have the 10 health on a kill perk, and I think they have one other like really strong perk. I can't remember exactly.
Probably Bastion or Vengeful Barrier.
Devour they have.
Okay.
That's the one that gives you health on executions, if I remember correctly. I think 15 health on executions or something like that.
Okay.
And so all of those, and there was no thought going into what I was, looking at the perks. There was no like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. And I was like, okay, those three are the best. Let me try and get enough gear so I can get those 3 perks.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
When they announced it, I was like, oh, okay. Now that there's perks, maybe, there'll be a guy on one team running a medic Zhang Jun, and the guy on the other team with perks running a bit more of an offensive one, So like buff his team or get more health or whatever, like when they first announced perks.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's any that kind of variety.
Yeah, some perks are just straight up bad. Like early Reaper, upon spawn and when revived, first attack deals 20% more damage. Like, what is that? And that also, I think, works on blocks. So you get blocked once and that doesn't just work anymore. Or probably if you get parried as well, I'm not exactly sure. But either way, even if it didn't work on blocks, how is that perk in any way similar to you get 75% health when you're revived, or you get 25 health shield after after revenge, or something like that? I don't get how that in any way is similar.
I think it's an easier one to fix though than like gear stats.
Yes.
Much easier one to fix and balance, like way easier.
It's a much better idea. So
if they just tweak numbers,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you'll have to make some hard decisions between what you want to do or focus on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have some different perks ideas for the future as well. I'm sure this isn't going to be like just, that's it and then we're done. I'm sure they're going to have something.
They could make Remedy like 15 health. They could, with the renowned level movement speed, they could just make it faster, where it's instead of 4% movement speed first and 2 for the subsequent, just make it 4, 4, 4, and 4. And Supersonic and Revenge get 50% movement speed and uninterruptible sprint. I mean, just tweak numbers on them. If you tweak numbers on them, someone will go, oh, do I want really good revives, or do I want to have like high movement speed?
Yeah, for some of them definitely you can just tweak numbers, so it's a lot easier than the gear stats, which will just in general a bad idea and a bad design. Alright, so that's me and Craig. Kawhi, what do you think?
So I really like the perk system, again, for the reason that Craig said. Gear stats are gone. I play a couple of defensive heroes. So I play Raider, I've played some Conk, and I've played some Aramusha. And on the heroes that have mainly all the defensive tree, you actually have some choice, because a lot of the defensive ones are actually really good. Mm-hmm. It's just that when the perks are good and work, it's interesting, and there's like actual choice to consider, and you can have multiple builds. Unlike Live for Honor, where the best there's like one build that you run on every character with gear, and then you min max. That is the min max build on every single hero. Okay.
So yeah, if they work, it's nice, but it doesn't seem like they work in all scenarios right now. Okay, Chujak, is there anything you'd like to add? Or I don't know if maybe you didn't do much practice with the perks, let's say.
From what I know, like I tested them at workshop and they were kind of the same, but basically, like Craig said, there's good ones and then there's bad ones, so there's no real variety.
Mm-hmm.
So, say take for the 75% health on revive, there's no reason not to take that.
Yeah. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, so I guess that's the one I have.
Yeah.
It's like, why not? Yeah. So I think some of them, maybe a few of them need to be slightly brought down, and then a lot of them need to be brought up, especially the offensive ones, where there might be choice on the offensive ones. I'm not sure, but the choice is between, well, do I want this type of shit or the other type of shit? Like it's not not very good. Whereas
I'd like to see Bastion nerfed just a little bit when the other ones, if they do get seen to, the other ones get buffed a little bit up to bring them up. I would like to see Bastion come back a bit because for me it looks like it's just a must-have for no matter what, for 10% flat damage reduction when on the objective. And I mean, you're on the objective a lot, and a lot of stuff counts as the objective. Like in Breach, healing point is objective, Ram is objective, lanes are objective. I mean, that's where you are all the time.
Yeah, I don't know if it counts in the Ram, but
it does. No, it counts on the Ram.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, that's really good then.
Although I think 8% on that is more reasonable than 10.
Okay, yeah, some changes definitely need to happen. All right, but either way, the consensus is that it's good.
It's a welcome addition.
I guess the consensus is that it's not gear stats, so it's good. So it's good.
It's not gear stats. It's all great, guys.
It's great. Even my cat is very, very happy about perks.
Debuff resistance is gone, thank God.
Thank God. My bleeds will actually deal some damage sometimes now.
You mean your bleed?
Whoa, my bleed, yeah.
Your sharpened blade?
Yeah, my that will not do damage, but the other ones will deal damage.
I think.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change with this is there's not going to be any more revenge gain.
Whoa.
So you're not going to hit people 3 times and then get revenge anymore.
I like that part of For Honor.
And then you won't have 50 damage heavies as well.
I like no, I think that was very fun because there were all the mind games of the game itself. You never knew how much you're going to get hit by, so you never wanted to get hit. It really tested your defense and your patience.
I see. Understandable.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's as much as we can milk out of perks. It's good. Hopefully, it's gonna be better. So the next thing we're gonna be talking about is Breach. So Breach is the big flagship mode of the game, pretty much at this point, or it seems like it at least. Or it's the mode for matching fire. And I don't think we need to talk about what Breach is and things like that, but I assume everyone who's watching knows. And if not, then we already talked about it on a different podcast, or you can watch some videos. But how is Breach? So how's the balance? How's the how's it in terms of fun, and then how's it in terms of balance? If we know, what do you guys think?
I don't know how to speak to balance on that. Because I wasn't participating in any scrims.
There were no scrims.
I was just streaming, during the whole time. But it seems in favor of defenders to me.
Okay.
I would agree.
I cannot talk about balance at all. For me specifically, I always make sure that any kind of opinion I have is at least somewhat tested out. So I cannot say about. I can't talk about balance, but in terms of how much fun it is, I definitely prefer to play defenders. Just because if you're a lot better, you're going to win. Whereas,
if there's a skill gap between the teams as large and your defenders, the game is going to be over sooner.
Yeah, it's going to be like 10, 15 minutes. Whereas if you're attackers, I've had games where my my cat really wants to participate this time. Meow. It's okay, I'm not gonna cut any of this out. I want everyone on YouTube to know about my cat. So when it comes to defenders, if we're much better, we can finish it in maybe phase 1 or the beginning of phase 2. But if we're the attackers, well, now we have to get to phase 3. And because of that, I've had games where I was first stacking against 4 probably solo queuers, because that's matchmaking in For Honor, and we're a lot better individually and then as a team, and we would destroy them. We have 3 times the renown, all individually. All of us had way more renown, way more takedowns. We're not dying, and then it still would take us 25 minutes to finish of a game.
You've got to run through the entire process of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Yeah, so it's like, why do I have to finish off a game that I know is over at minute 5? Why is the finish of the game, where's the ending of the game at minute 25?
Worse, 2 or 3 of them may leave, the whole team may leave. You have to play player versus AI. For 15 minutes.
Yeah, hopefully, if by the time Marching Fire comes, the most basic thing they can do to this is well, first of all, surrender option, and second of all, when people leave, and that's, for example, 2 people left on the team or 1 person left on the team, just have it be possible for them to surrender, but also not lose any points if it's ranked or if it's matchmaking.
Yeah,
don't lose any
that's
rewards.
a good idea.
So we can have the game over, and the team that won gets all the rewards just fine. But we don't end up in a situation where there's 4 solo queuers, one of them leaves, and now the entire team is fucked because they cannot win, obviously, without 1 or 2 people.
I think if 2 or 3 people leaving 1 guy left or 2 guys left, whatever you want to think about it, I think he should have an option to surrender without receiving a loss.
Yep. Yeah, without receiving a loss.
Yeah, just doesn't receive the L. I know it's only casual matchmaking, and no one gives a shit about losing in casual matchmaking.
Well, and when it comes to casual matchmaking, the thing used to here would be the rewards, right? You still get the rewards if you surrender, if there's 2 people who left. So that would still matter for matchmaking. Just for ranked, if that ever becomes a ranked mode, that would be important.
Yeah, that
as
would
well.
be necessary.
Yeah. But that's
you could implement it in casual though, just the token gesture, the players that have to put up with bad matchmaking.
Yeah, in Dominion and in Breach as well. Like in Dominion, if people leave in a minute too, sure it's gonna take less time to finish off a game, right? But it's still gonna take. It might take like 7-8 minutes if the teams are if the team that has players isn't that great. But you know that there's not gonna be any players coming in because by like a certain point, players don't come in anymore. So if the team who lost players decides to just leave, well, they shouldn't be getting penalized by the system as hard as they are right now. Well, right now there is no penalty, but hopefully there will be one, and then we can add that on top of the penalty. But okay, so that's like the very basic of Breach. So yeah, that would be like the basic thing, but I'm not sure what other things they could do to make it so that attackers isn't such a drag to play in matchmaking, especially like if one team is just a lot better.
I mean, that should be enough, right?
Should it though? Because
I mean, if I was playing in a game against like I don't know, Clutch and some UDA members and a couple of viewers that are really good, and I'm playing with a guy who got the game for Marching Fire, a bot, and some other guy who's queuing somewhere, some solo guy.
Yeah,
like if we're getting fucking like fed into a meat grinder, I would definitely do the vote to surrender after 10 minutes. It's waste time. It's like they have 30 minutes on attackers to finish this. I'm sitting here for 20 minutes with some stupid matchmaking.
And getting basically spawn camped.
Yeah.
I just take my XP now and go, Borsky. Thank you very much for the game, GG.
The thing is, for me with that is how it would still be possible very much to grieve with this kind of.
That's true. You could just surrender, and keep collecting XP.
That's not even what I meant, because the surrender thing would only be like you would only get the rewards if people left. It's kind of my idea. If people didn't leave, you wouldn't get the rewards, unless maybe by a certain point in the game or something. But the surrender option for competitive or for casual. This version of the surrender option would be if people leave, you can get to surrender and not lose any points or not lose any rewards. But then, because for example, like let's say it's you and 3 just people who you don't know, right? Against let's say Clutch, me, Stepmix, and I don't know Vinx or whatever, right? Well, what if those 3 people on your team want us to have a bad time, so they just sit there and they don't really care about their own time, right? They just sit there for 30 minutes in the game.
Oh, you mean they just want you to have half an hour of a boring, stupid game?
Yeah, they just want to grieve. Like, if there would be something within the game itself, like some way to make it so that I don't know, maybe if you're doing really well in phase 2, I don't know, the king comes out or something like that. If you like if you get some requirements, like really big requirements, like I don't know, like you kill the defenders like a lot of times, or you kill the guardian twice in a row, or 3 times in a row, or you do X thing or you do Y thing, then the king comes out in phase 2 and you can maybe kill him quicker, so you don't have to go to phase 3 or something like that, to make it so that, well, even if the game is pretty much over but people don't want to leave for whatever reason, well then there will still be something to be done. Because if we do it like, if we just add a surrender option and make it so that the rewards are there, well then, as you said, people could just leave every time.
Spam surrender.
Right? So then a way to deal with that would be you get a proportionate amount of rewards depending on how much you played. But then again, the issue with that is that well, if people don't get that much of a reward, well, then maybe they will want to stay even in a game that they will lose, right? So there's a lot of issues here, but I think the most basic thing that they have to do is the surrender option for when people leave. That's 100% needed, but something else I think should be done as well. I'm not just exactly sure what. And I don't know if any of us know.
Attackers in like general could use a possible another win condition in general. It feels weird because like defenders have 3 different unique win conditions right now. They have you can stall for time, and if the time ends, defenders win. If defenders run the attackers out of tickets, then the defenders win, and if the defenders kill the ram,
what's the problem with defenders having tickets?
Yeah,
I was gonna say I think defenders should have like a larger amount, but should have like a ticket.
Just a big pool of tickets, bigger than the attackers.
But like like maybe double the attackers, but just like some amount.
Sorry, to go on.
The max amount of tickets you can have, like as attackers, is 40, I think. Because you start off with 20, then get 16, then get 4 for third.
Yeah, that's 40 right now. The way it is right now. Yeah.
You think defenders having 80 tickets would do anything?
80 tickets, a little bit too much.
So like 60, but then I know like
60, but also refreshing on gate destroyed.
Well, a part of it refreshing, yeah, maybe, but all 50 and part of it refreshing. Not exactly sure. Yeah, what should be done here? Because I think a good part of adding tickets to defenders would be that first of all, the defenders would be a little bit more intense. Because right now, defenders, like if I'm playing defenders in the open test, I can just chill. Right, I can just chill. There's not much happening, especially in the matchmaking, right? And scrims, of course, it wouldn't feel as much. The difference wouldn't be this big. But in the map, I'm just chilling because I died. I don't really care that much. There's many more ways for me to win the game than it is for the attackers. So I have different things I can just kind of chill. The attackers, though, you die every time. You're like, holy shit! Am I gonna lose the ticket? Can a team help me? Please, team help me. Something like that, right? It's way more intense. And
what if this is just an idea I'm throwing out? What if they did like a really large amount of tickets, like like the 80 that Craig suggested, and if you take if the attacking team takes objectives like the archer point, it also subtracts from the defending team's ticket.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, of course this is not balanced. Like I'm just like just for the example, like if they take like archer point, the defending team loses 10 tickets or something, or like 5, right? It makes more, of course, numbers being like extreme here. The numbers aren't important.
Well, I mean, if you kind of push that idea a little bit more to something else, right? Just move it sideways. Instead of defenders having life tickets, they could have objective tickets. So the lanes continue from the start of the map to the end of the map.
Yeah.
And if you could add another lane, I know there's 8 right now, but you could add another lane, a 9th lane, I think, at the end. So you could either kill the king or take that last lane. But then I guess that wouldn't solve the issue of the phase 2, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would give another win condition. Then.
Yeah, but just that
you'll have to go third.
Yeah, the win condition would shorten the game a little bit, but it wouldn't shorten the game like the same way that the game is short for the defenders, that they are a lot better, right? I think something like maybe if you like destroy completely someone in phase 1, I'm not exactly sure what you could do, what exactly would be the requirement for that. But if some like cosmic requirement is done, well then maybe you skip straight through to phase 3 or something like that. Like phase 2 is completely skipped if you all did that much better. Somehow there's a random cutscene or whatever, and you just go to phase 3. Instead of playing the fucking phase 2 for 20 minutes with the attackers also gaining 16 tickets, and you have to kill them all over again. Or you have to, as the attackers, you have way more tickets now, right? So again, it's like, what do I do with this? How do I lose? Like, there's no way to lose if you're that much better, right? So maybe you just skip straight through that. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you lose the tickets, of course, then that you would gain. Not sure. if that would be in any way coherent or in any way like playable, but just something to make it so that playing attacker is not such a dread. Because I remember every time, at least so far, every time I've been in open test, I've been attackers. I've been attackers, and we almost win phase 1. We're the defenders. We're the defenders. So even for defenders, this is an issue. We were the defenders, and someone, for example, they're breaking phase 1, but then they barely get through to phase 2, and we're like, well, fuck, we have to play the game. We have to play the game still, even though we know that the game is over, right? So then for the attackers, it's like, well, they like got 1 kill in phase 1. Why am I going to phase 2, and why do I have to waste my additional 25 minutes of my life, right? But yeah, some of the suggestions given here are good. I'm not sure if they're not all balanced, but
well, I guess it's a case of looking for a good idea more than looking for, balancing that idea first. Like, okay, this wouldn't meet these things that we needed to accomplish. No, this is a second win condition. Okay, now we need to balance the numbers or tweak it, whatever. But I mean, there's some okay ideas out of this, but I don't know. I think you can be a bit more creative with it too. Like maybe if you could spawn, like you said, the spawn idea with the king. Maybe some other character can come in other than the king, and he would be a win condition.
Maybe
certain conditions are met in game, you can unlock him with the attackers by accomplishing stuff like you said, a number of objectives.
Yeah, maybe maybe if something happens, like some random condition is met, then maybe the guardian is on your side, or something like that, and then he goes and maybe the ram goes quicker. If he's
what would be sick, right? If you accomplished a number of conditions in phase 2. And then the guardian was on your side, as you said, and he runs to the gate and he unlocks it with a key.
Oh no! Oh yeah, guys, there's no reason for the ram, guys. No reason. We just have a key right here.
Voice. I was with them, but I'm with you now.
Yeah.
He goes turncoat. It can be called a turncoat condition.
No.
Yeah, please, if you're listening, please, hire us, please. Oh god.
Could just like, I don't know, fucking if the attacking team kills the guardian, like instead of a second guardian spawn in phase 2, because there's like, I think you can get 2. You could get at max 2 guardian spawns in phase 2. Instead of like a second guardian spawn, you get a lieutenant spawn, and if you kill the lieutenant, you can win, or something like that.
I feel like that one's a bit easy though.
Well, you could have the lieutenant spawn in like a good place for the defenders, like for example at the cauldron area or something like that. And maybe the lieutenant also has minions next to him, like many minions, like 5 to 6 minions, for example, next to him.
Yeah, make it so like if the attacking team kills the guardian and takes all the archer points at the cauldron spawns.
So would he be? But how would you balance that out? I feel like if he stayed there, it would be easy. You just burn him down eventually, or you just feeds or whatever. Like you would definitely do that, like much easier. It would just be like phase 3 and phase 2.
Maybe.
What if he was temporary? What if he like?
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he could be temporary, or he could just regen health when there's no fighting going on, so you have to kill him in one go.
Or make it so he disappears if the ram, if the ram goes to the door.
Yeah, if the ram gets docked, for example. But yeah, I think we're going a little bit too. Too late into the game. I think like if something could be done in phase 1 or at the beginning of phase 2, I think that would be the best solution. Yeah. But I'm not sure if there is anything.
But then you can't use those kind of mechanics. You come back to like a more basic level one, like tickets.
Oh, okay. Then make it so that, like,
or maybe defenders have tickets only in like phase 1 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Like that would be very easy, obviously, to implement. But maybe something like that. Maybe just have them only have tickets in phase 1.
To me.
Yeah, it would be like a very simple, and then like lore-wise, they would be like, oh, you're doing so well, we're just surrendering, and this is the end of the siege, or something like that.
I mean, no, I like that idea.
Yeah, that would be
that's the simplest one that seems to work to me.
Yeah, that would probably be the simplest one. You just have like a little bit.
Mr. Alernakin, very good.
It would be just like a like a little bit higher number of tickets. Like if the attackers spawn with 20, then defenders spawn with
you
like
don't want
30.
team deathmatch round 1.
Yeah, you don't want team deathmatch, but you want it so like you want it to be so that if the teams are even, it's not good to go for, you know, as the attackers, you don't want to go for the tickets. But if the game is, you know, if the teams are not close at all, well then you want to go for the tickets because you know that, you know, you're so much better or something like that. So that will be, it'll have to be a large amount, like 35 or 30 or something. But to the point where
I would have to be substantially more than attackers, because you don't want attackers to have to, or we're a little bit better than them.
Yeah, they have to be. They have to be way like 30, 35 or 40 would be probably like around the ballpark. But yeah, like just something to make it so it's not such a dread to play the fucking attackers. And even the defenders, like I think the attackers should not get 16 tickets for getting to phase 2.
16 seems much. I mean 14.
Yeah, or even like 12, and then maybe start with a few more tickets, like 2 or 4 more tickets, and it would end up being like the same or very similar ballpark, but just like getting to, like, it almost feels like all the work you've put in as a defender, sometimes it almost feels like all the work you've put in just kind of disappears at the beginning of phase 2 because they get 16 tickets. And so even if
plus the 4 breaking lives.
Yeah, so even if they were breaking at the beginning of phase 1, well, that doesn't matter as much. Of course, 16 tickets is, you know, it's not as many tickets as, like, for example, 3d6 or whatever they could have, like, at the most, or 40.
40, yeah.
Or 3d6 they could have at the most during phase 2, but it's still like a large amount of tickets to the point where you're kind of like, holy shit, do we really have to grind this out? And someone in the chat said, giving defenders tickets wouldn't fix the toxicity issues inherent to the toxic system. Ticket system. I guess
toxicity issues.
Maybe he's talking about just if you're playing solo queue, you team can just grieve, or not necessarily grieve, but people can just be like, you died so many times, like, why are you this bad, kind of thing.
But it doesn't even show the deaths on the screen. It's much worse than Dominion or randoms for that very specific issue.
Well, I guess, but yeah, on the other hand, maybe that's why you get so many tickets as the attacker, so that, you know, one person cannot just lose you the game immediately or like easily. But then again, this is the team mode. So things like that will happen.
They will happen at a higher level. You would hope they wouldn't happen very often at a casual level.
Well, the idea is that matchmaking is good, so then you don't get many games where one player or two players are just terrible and, well, the game is over because we have two terrible players and they happen to be attackers. So, yeah, I mean, that's just I think that's mostly a matchmaking issue rather than the ticket issue, because there is easily enough players to have good matchmaking. There's just no good matchmaking. Group play isn't spared from that either. So yeah, he is talking about that. But yeah, like if you're in a group and you're actually communicating, well, then you're not really going. That's really, I don't think that would be an issue.
What groups are you playing in, Borsky?
Oh no, but I don't think that would be an issue in group play, like in high level play with communication and things like that. I don't think that would be an issue. Like,
no, you will definitely be communicated to that you are dying too much.
Oh yeah, but then
don't worry. I'll make sure to communicate. You're being a recon type character.
I hate Kawaii.
I'll make sure to let you know, Kawaii. Okay, so that's like the attackers defenders in terms of just fun. It's difficult to, or in terms of like just how much of a drag it is. But in terms of balance, it's difficult to talk about that. For me, at least, we can just kind of talk about what feels easier or better. But in terms of
it's more theory crafting than
when it comes to balance,
substantiated opinion.
Yeah. So time to go to some other parts of Breach. For example, the boosts. What do you guys think about the boosts? Before I give my own opinion, so Crack, Kawaii, or Trijak, any of you, what do you think about the boosts and on the Breach? Sorry.
I think they should be peeled back a little bit.
Okay.
I know they were nerfed, but I still think they're too strong.
Mm-hmm. They're a lot better than they were, but I think a little bit more of a nerf.
Okay.
I think a little bit more of a nerf as well.
I think get rid of some of them. I think the attack buff should not be. I think attack buff should not be a thing, just because it's, first of all, it's a different multiplier than other buffs, and it doesn't. The only like visual I mean, maybe there's something else, but from first glance, the only visual kind of indication you get is maybe that like weird thing around your arms, but you get the weapon next to your name, right? That's like the visual indication. It's the same.
Well, like,
it's the same indication if there's like molar booster or something like that. So and those are different multipliers of damage. And then also the bigger that's one issue. But then the other issue is, I think it's just like, well, am I gonna die from? It's kind of like gear stats, but it's less random, so it's less of an issue, I think. But still, like, am I gonna die from this attack? Is this gonna kill me? Like, I don't know how much damage he's dealing. Like 37%.
Yeah, can I trade here if you're someone with hyper armor? Or whatever?
Yeah, it creates very weird, like not necessarily inconsistent issues, but like kind of artificial difficulty to like learning. Like, okay, if they have damage boost, okay, so they're dealing this amount of damage. You already have to learn that kind of knowledge with morale booster and things like that, how much damage they're gonna do, but then you're gonna have to learn an additional thing. So just like it feels like an artificial difficulty thing, and just like an artificial annoyance more than even difficulty.
No, I mean they should replace the attack buff.
Yeah, I think it should be replaced, by something more unique, like maybe
minion damage buff, I think.
I think a minion damage buff would actually be really good.
For example, or some other ideas I had, or some other ideas I've heard, or something like if you get it, then maybe you get like your next tier of feet for like 30 or 45 seconds or something like that. Not as strong as this in skirmish, where in skirmish you just get all your feet for a while, obviously, but you get one level of feet higher than you have right now for like 30 or 45 seconds or something like that. Or I don't know, if as an attacker you get some boost, and maybe you get like one ticket, and then as a defender you make them lose one ticket or something like that. Like what
do you think of a renown multiplier?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what would you think of like maybe something that's just like purely just gives you a lot of renown, not like a bar, like a full level, but like just a lot of renown. Since everyone makes use of renown. And
I have a feeling that would be difficult to balance because there's so many ways to earn renown already. But on the other hand, it could help characters that maybe have some difficulties with getting renown as it is right now. But maybe it's characters that don't necessarily fit the role, but it would also kind of make the rich richer at the same time. So I'm not sure. Yeah, like that just from the first feelings of it. Yeah, maybe a multiplier, but then like just straight up giving renown would be kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I feel like a minion killing one would also be good, especially for assassins, because assassins right now, besides like Zerk and Shaolin, kind of struggle to kill minions like at all.
Yeah.
From all since I played a lot of Shinobi on the test, Shinobi has a very
an idea.
Big problem.
So before we continue, was there any other YouTuber who has a breach video from this test, so I can show it on stream?
This test?
Because I only have my own right now playing, and it's over. Is there
no, I don't use many breach videos in this test. You'll just have to look it up. You might be able to find one. Okay. The only breach videos I know of are from the last test.
Okay. Yeah, I'll play something. Fighting Cowboy or something.
What about instead of a boost of attack or renown or anything like that, what if that boost is a feat or a perk? What if it's a perk or a feat? Like, it could be like a body count. You pick it up, you get body count, except for a little bit stronger.
Oh, you mean it would be like a consumable?
And you could heal off minions.
Is that what you mean? Like it would be kind of like a consumable thing?
Yeah, so you pick it up and activates a body count of a sort on your character. A body count boost or whatever you want to call it. And you can go clear minions with it and stay healed up while clearing.
It could be like...
Or clear minions and heal up, or when you land attacks on the Guardian, it'll heal you, or whatever.
It could be like the body count from Infernal Dominion. Or killing minions give you 10-15 health.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down to experiment. Just like, I think the attacker buff is the one I'm 100% not okay with. The defense buff is I'm kind of on the verge, but I'm mostly okay with it because, well, you see you're gonna just have to hit the guy a few more times. so that's easy to read and there's no issue. Well, I mean, there's some issue, but not the biggest one. But then the sprint buff, I'm obviously 100. I'm okay with it just because it's fun. I think to just zoom around, as Kawaii, for example, has been doing with Shinobi, or just in general. I
like the sprint buff. Yeah. I think it fits the game mode.
Yeah, I think it's understandable to have that, and it's still important enough to the point where if you see someone trying to get it, you will go and stop them. But it's not like oh fuck, they have a sprint buff, we're gonna lose, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see the sprint buff replace the attack buff on point 2, because I think it'd be actually useful in point 2 since the second point is so much bigger than the first.
You mean phase 2?
Phase 2, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think something like that, and then like something like that, and then for example, phase 1 you could have instead of the attack buff, you could have the feed buff that I said, or maybe the minion buff that I said. Oh, that you guys said, sorry. And then phase 2 we could have only the sprint buff and the defense buff, and the phase 3 maybe like a nerfed version of the attack buff, just to have a little bit more damage, or simply just have one of the other buffs bug. The sprint buff wouldn't be helpful in phase 3, but some others, buff would be helpful. So yeah, something like the breach I think has potential to be really good, and I think right now it's fun as long as you're not unlucky and you're not much better than the other team, especially as attackers. But I do think it's fun. I just don't know if it's like competitively or high level, even not necessarily competitively viable.
I think with enough balancing and
I think with balancing and
it can be.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think it has potential to be good enough for that. And then it could be like the flagship mode for the game, right? For everything.
Yeah,
right?
if everything done right and well.
Yeah, the boost,
it can
balancing,
be
and the
a game
fun.
mode that can sell a game.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are. Do you guys think there's some other? Oh, actually, how do you feel about the maps? Do you think the maps are good, bad, not balanced, balanced? How do you guys feel about the maps?
I like the maps.
I like all the maps except the Viking. I don't like the Viking one.
I think the samurai map is beautiful. That's about as much as I have to say.
Oh, that one is always fun. Just because look at this map, dude.
Just
cool.
look at how beautiful this is.
Yeah, that map is aesthetically the best, easily.
Yeah, it's
for like to play on, I feel like there's not as much of a difference between like alternating maps on Dominion, because all the maps follow the same fundamental design.
Yeah, the only there's always the same things in the map. Wait, is there? Because there's always 2 archer points in phase 1, right? And then there's the cauldron point.
Yes.
Yeah, so
and on every map they always go up.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The biggest difference I've noticed on them in terms of placement of objectives and stuff is where the tribute or shield tribute, the armor door spawns.
Yeah, the tribute, the boosts also obviously spawn different. The health point is always somewhere different as well in all maps. But I think I like all the maps. I think if one map was problematic, then I think all maps would be problematic because they all follow the same pattern, right? So I think the maps are beautiful. The samurai map, like the first time I played it, I'm like, can I stop playing? Can I go and watch the map for a second? It's really nice.
It's funny because on the Viking map, I absolutely hate the way it looks.
I don't hate it, but I don't think it's nearly as beautiful.
It's just because the new graphical engine, I hate.
It does
like
look really
daylight,
gross.
sunny maps, like really sunny maps on the new graphics overhaul look awful in my opinion. It just looks whitewashed.
Yeah,
but the darker maps and stuff on the new graphic overhaul, they look amazing. They look much better.
I personally don't mind the Viking map the way it looks, but I just love the samurai map. That's kind of all I have to say. So I'm just in love.
Understandable.
Tujak, you wanted to say something?
With the Viking and the samurai map, one of the main issues I have with them is they have the health point and the guardian right next to each other, and that's like 2 big objectives right next to each other. But in the night map, they're on different sides of the map. So basically, in the samurai or the Viking, you just control that side. Yeah,
Where would you place the healing point, True Jack?
I think the healing point should always be on the side of the minion lane because you need some type of healing there. And plus the
have
healing point.
some buffs and stuff on the other side with the Guardian.
Yeah, because the healing point is a huge objective because there's no natural healing.
Of course, yeah.
Then having that right next to a buff that once you get it, you wipe the team 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's also true, yeah. They have to run and hide until you're gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of an issue that is for me, because I'm just simply, I haven't played Breach enough at like high level,
I mean,
as no one really has. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense what you're saying, Chujak. I'm just saying I don't know how much of an issue it is in the real games, like what kind of differences it creates in terms of gameplay, and if the differences are in any way interesting, or if they're simply detrimental to the mode. But yeah, that is one difference between the maps. Yeah, the night map is different in that sense, in terms of like its layout.
Did you guys play scrims?
No, not a single.
I imagine if there was scrims, they're like in casual games. I've basically only on a handful of occasions seen 2 teams trying to kill the Guardian while team fighting.
I've seen it a decent amount of times, but it wasn't necessarily like 2 teams go at it with 4 people.
No, I've had where there was like 8 people in a room fighting and the Guardian.
Yeah, I had that.
Some bombs.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, I had that a few times, but a decent amount of times I've had situations where, well, there's one team where there's one team or maybe 2 or 3 people trying to attack the Guardian, and then 1 or 2 people from the other team come in and like try to sneak in the last hit.
Has anyone ever used the feat to get the last bit on him, like a Valk with a javelin or something?
I've not had that happen personally, so it's difficult for me to say.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be like a big clutch play.
Speaking of the Guardian and the King as well, I don't think they should block at all.
Think they should block?
I don't think they should block.
How come?
Because it happened a couple of times in the workshop, and I'm sure it's happened in the test, but you get it really low, and then the King like target swaps or blocks onto someone else, and if you don't have an unblockable, you can't hurt him. And then someone just runs in and steals it from you just because you can't hit him.
What they did to the captains is
a free guard break, right? You can't
but you can't really like guard break when there's multiple people there.
Oh, okay. What they did to the captains compared to the last test is now the captains only block top. Like you can attack the captains from any side that's not top, and they will never block. At least I've never had them block. They've always blocked top. So I guess that's what they could do if they want to do something like that, or maybe simply disable the blocking. Yeah, that would be one way. Especially on the King, I think on the Guardian, it's less of an issue because I feel like the King is supposed to be an objective. 100%. It's not supposed to be like on like a big. It's not supposed to be like a 5v4, right? It's supposed to be a 4v4 with the Guardian, not necessarily the Guardian, the King somewhere there. Whereas the Guardian is allowed, I think, to be a little bit more strong, just because he is a neutral creep, right? Doesn't help one team or the other. But yeah, for the King, I think he should not block, and the Guardian maybe just make it so he blocks one direction like the captains do. Maybe so he cannot block, but has some other kind of things to him. Like for example, if he's 25% health, he spawns a few minions. If he's every 25% of his health, he spawns a few minions. Maybe the lower health, the more minions he spawns.
Maybe he gets enraged and he attacks faster and hits harder or something.
Yeah, maybe he gets like hyper armor forever. You cannot guard break him or CC him, or like he's always in revenge or something like that. Something to make him like a little bit less dumb, but also a little bit like more actually like threatening in any way. Not necessarily threatening, but like I think it's good as he is right now. Just like some small tweaks, would be nice, especially with the King. I think the King AI is still kind of an issue, and then the King taking damage from all the feats and not having any damage reduction for the feats and things like that is a little bit iffy. I think like so many games as defenders or as attackers I've had where the King is full health or almost full health, and then a team fight comes up and maybe the attackers win the team fight. And they just activate their feats, and the King is dead by the time the other team responds, right? That's because the feats just kill him. Or a lot of the times we had like, I don't know, like in one game we had, I think Rave was on the other team, or he was on the attacker team, we were on the defender team, and there was like a minute left, and the king had like 50% health, and what they did, and what he did, or like what the team did, is they had the Jun use the tier 4 feat to kind of isolate everyone from the king, and Rave would just start spamming Celticers into unblockable, Celticers into unblockable, or like Celticers into unblockable, and then spears them at the end, and they just kill them in a minute. And I'm like, did we really get outplayed, or like it just the last phase still feels very clunky to me. It still doesn't feel like it's as good as phase 1 and 2 in terms of just the gameplay straight up. It just doesn't feel quite as good. But maybe again, not enough high level. Yeah, the ballistas in phase 3 are a big issue for me as well. It just doesn't feel like a interactive gameplay. It just doesn't feel like it. In phase 1 and 2, it feels kind of annoying because again, it's not interactive. But sure, I don't mind as much. But in phase 3, I'm just kind of like, why is this there? Like I understand that
ballistas in the game in general.
Yeah, like I don't know, like they're nice for clearing minions. I'm okay with them clearing minions, right? But with how much damage they deal to everything, it's kind of like, I understand that they're like an additional objective, and I like the idea of an additional objective on the side of the Guardian, well, on the night map, if the healing point is there, or wherever the ballista is. I like the idea of an additional objective, but I don't necessarily like the execution of that additional objective, I guess what I'm trying to say. Like, it just doesn't feel fun to play against a ballista. Has anyone ever had fun getting hit by 60 damage, or just randomly, or trying to dodge, I guess, a ballista? Maybe that's somewhat fun.
I've had a lot of fun seafood dodging the ballista.
Oh, yeah, like, kidney dancing a ballista is somewhat fun sometimes, yeah, but...
I mean, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
You can dodge and then cancel dodge recovery at seafood, so it's really hard for them to hit you.
Yeah, is that the game? Is that the gameplay
That is the gameplay I stream. Okay.
Are we making fun on a shooter now?
Look, bro.
Like I think there could be something other than in place of a ballista, at least in phase 3, some kind of objective.
I don't know, maybe you can run up there and then activate a mortar in a popular team fight area.
Maybe you run up there, and if you instead of the ballista, there's a point that you can control in phase 3 specifically, and if you control that point, more minions spawn for your team or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Or I don't know, if you're the defenders, if you take that point, I don't know.
You get a group of officers.
Well, that would be nice for the other. That would be nice for the other team. That would be nice for the.
No, you get officers, bro, and they start going ham.
Oh no! Oh yeah, you get that point, and they get officers, so you can get health. That's all officers are good for.
What if it's like a...
What do you mean? That's mean.
Come on.
What if it's like a buff that's like a one-time like faction-based tier 4? I know that's different. It's like objectively the tier 4s aren't that great on different factions, but you know, like if on the Viking map you got a fire flask you could throw, or the
Aerostorm?
Yeah, Aerostorm.
The nerf.
But I mean they're not good on the maps, but at least it's an objective that can be used.
Maybe, yeah.
That's
something
more...
like. Well, I feel like that would just kind of add to the kind of how do I say this? Like the phase 3 is already so focused on feats and like trying to burst down the Guardian, burst down people. That adding like an additional version of that would be kind of like I feel like overkill maybe. But yeah, something like, I don't know, maybe if you're the defenders and you're standing there, I don't know, your king is slowly gaining health or something, slowly gaining back health, so that I think that in general could be a thing, like because of how much damage he takes from literally everything.
Yeah.
What if, for example, in phase 3, people like the phase 1 and 2 go relatively smoothly, and then phase 3, let's say there's 10 minutes left, right? And big tier 4s usually have like 3-minute cooldowns. So you can use your tier 4s 3 times, and that will either almost kill the Guardian, or not the Guardian, sorry, the King, or get close to that, and then you can bomb rush them to make sure that the King dies. Well then, what are the defenders supposed to do in that situation? It's kind of feels like even if there is a way to play around that, it would feel like a very boring way. I'm sure. So maybe some kind of like passive regen if there was no fighting going on, like for like a minute, the king very slowly regens some of his health.
Maybe if there's some defined area around the king command or whatever.
Yes, for example,
there was no minions, like enemy minions there, or no opponents in there, he will start that regen you're talking about.
Or for example, like on the king map, like there's like the castle, not the castle, but there's this building behind the king. Like for example, there could be that where you spawn, right? There could be like a small point that you have to control, and then if you control it, then your king slowly gains health, not very quickly but slowly, and then for instead of the blister there could be something like, as I said, like you getting more minions, or like you get a little bit more minions phase 3.
Or if it was like just another tribute, like just like a war banner that you can give that you put on the point behind there, and then it gives your king like a small shield, and then it makes for the attackers, it makes your minions fight faster and more of them start spawning. Right.
Yeah, it's very similar ideas, something like that. Okay, so I think we've talked. Is there anything else about Breach that we have to talk about? Do you guys have anything else? Because there's still a lot to talk about. So.
I mean, it's we could keep going on about other parts of it. If anyone's got something to point out, or there's questions.
Oh, thank you, Cat. I hate my cats. Give me a second, I shall. Oh no! Oh no! This is making it in. I am not editing that out. Thank you, cats. Very cool. All right, so I think that's about it for Breach. If we want to actually make this a feasible podcast to watch and to listen to later on. So new characters. I think I messed this. I think I didn't add an S at the end. Give me a second. New characters is what we're gonna be talking about now. So let me switch a video as well. Not to have it be Breach. And I'm just gonna play a random video of mine. And Shal and Vinusha. Okay, so the new characters. There's Tiandi, there's Shaolin, there's Nusha, and there's JJ. So let's start with maybe Crack. Let's start with you. So you've been playing a decent amount, let's say, of JJ, Jung Jun. A decent amount.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, like 30 hours in the past 3 days or something.
Small bit.
So how do you feel about him in general? 1v1, 4v4, his feats, and like kind of run us through the character and how you think he feels.
Well, in 1v1, the only good thing he has going for him is he'll have some hard counters against people like Highlander because of his Sifu stance. And that's about it in 1v1.
Good talk.
He's really, really, really bad. Absolute terrible in 1v1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what about 4v4? Because he's supposed to be, the Steam fighter, right? Big, wide AoE attacks, huge hitboxes, right? That's kind of the concept of the character. So what happened?
So if you combine the number of times I hit walls and I hit teammates, it would be probably on par with the amount of times you hit opponents externally.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird. It's like if you imagine just a clock for like his range, like let's say a circle around him at 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. That's where you want like really good externals, and maybe to like 9 and 3 o'clock, like either side of you, are like the nicest areas to have externals, because then you can lock into someone a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, or someone behind them, and you're gonna hit them with something that may look like it's locked on them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And these are quite easy to line up and all this. But he seems to have really strong hitboxes at like 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock behind him, and it's really really annoying. It's like where the startup comes from. Sorry, getting a call there. This is where the startup comes from. Seems to be that area. And if you do it next to, so if, a lot of the time you get a parry in 1vx, and you go for your parry counter on the 2 or 3 people that are there or whatever, and they hit the wall, and now you're in recovery. And you could be eating 40 to 80 damage, or it could just be 30 damage that leads to a lot of confirms and whatever, and you fucking lost the fight now. It's insane, because if you use his dodge, it also counts with his dodge heavies, which are already bad. And he gets no iframes and dodge cancelling out of them that I can see.
Mm.
That just dashing in the middle of the dodge heavy just to cancel it out. You just seem to eat stuff when you try that.
Okay.
In a team fight, if you go for that dodge heavy, it's also got a really wide hitbox on its left hand or right hand side. Like, so if your target swap dodge heavying to someone, you better be in an area that's about a 50-foot wide radius, because you're probably going closer to a wall or to a pillar anywhere, because you're going quite a large dodge to the left or to the right or forward or back, and it's going to hit a wall. It's going to hit a wall. It's going to hit a sandbag near the fucking wall. It's going to hit some part of the environment. He seems to hit walls. And he's the worst hitboxes. He doesn't hit anyone in those areas I was talking about earlier. These really important hitbox areas. Like Nobushi has a really nice one with her zone. Kensei is a great one. He's even got like that great hitbox behind him. And Nobushi to her like back right, I think it is.
Yeah.
Where it kind of arcs all the way around, and it's nice. And once you're used to it, you always know with positioning where you can hit around you. And that's like with Zhang Jun, it's like I can hit people who are really, really close, like right next to me, either side of my left or right. And if they're outside of that area, just a little bit further away, it's just going to go through them. There's like, I wish there was more clips on the channel that when I was streaming it of all the times they missed, because there would literally be like hundreds of clips of times that like hit the wall, ghosting through players, getting hit in where you would expect iframes to be in a dodge attack, hitting walls with the dodge attack. I mean, people dodging with one timing on his opener or whatever you want to call it,
big opener,
kick, and then punishing you for that, or waiting for the light follow up and just parrying the light. Or, I mean, he's not in the best place in the world. Okay,
so that's the character. But there is more to the character than the character. There's feats. That's how Ubisoft.
And this is where he gets stronger.
This is how he becomes a character. Yes. So for those who don't know, Mr. Zhang Jun. Oh, actually, let me give this a little bit of backstory. So on some of our podcasts, especially Scarbrand or myself as well, but mostly Scarbrand, we were talking about how strong Second Wind is. Right? It's very, very strong. 40 health. It's it cleanses bleed, 60-second cooldown. You'll have it almost every fight. It's very, very strong. It gives you pretty much 160 health on demand if you're at 120 health. Hero. Well, if you thought that was good, and we thought that was good. But here comes Zhang Jun with his Second Wind 2.0 that gives 85 health, also cleansing bleed, if there's 4 enemies around.
Second win for the family.
And so that's for yourself and for the nearby allies in a big AoE. 85 if there's 4 enemies around you, and that cleanses bleed. That's around for allies as well, on top of giving it to you as well. The lowest amount it can give is I think 25, which is still very strong, and that's if there's no enemies around. If there's 1 enemy around, it's 40. It's just an insane feat because the cooldown is 60 seconds, the same as Second Wind.
Oh yeah, you're just running around into groups where there's a lot of enemies and going, hold up, Borsky, boom, we're all full health, boys.
Give me a second, guys. I see you're struggling.
Enjoy your revenge and now health advantage on your opponents.
Yeah, revenge.
Easy team fight.
Yeah, get 100. You always get revenge with that. And his tier 4 is kind of like a fire flask that deals no damage, but also has 45-second cooldown.
I really like that feat. It's really, really good for breach for objectives.
Really strong. Yeah, it's really strong.
And with that cooldown, it's crazy good.
It's like a fire flask in a slightly bigger AoE, I think, or at least similar AoE. I think it's bigger.
I mean, like you can put 4 people and stun them out of stam without feeding them any revenge.
Yeah. So it's like a fire flask that just doesn't deal damage, but also has 45-second cooldown. So that's the character. Those 2 feats is the character. He has Inspire for his tier 2 feat, which is great.
His target swap zones are decent.
Okay.
When you do the unblockable follow up on the unblockable heavy follow up.
Okay.
Target swap, that's good. Because when it's being target swapped, and you delay it a bit, it can be quite hard for someone to parry it or dodge it. Because the range to tracking on it, there's one really good thing about him where it's forward tracking, like just range straight in front of him, is really, really nutty on that.
Okay.
Unblockable.
All right.
That's good as well. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so for tier 2 he has Inspire, that's probably the best out of his feats. And then for tier 1 I would probably run the tier 1 that he has by default, which if there's 4 enemies around gives you and your team in a big AoE again 25% damage increase, which is the same as all Chilling Star. Yeah, the Chilling Star the way it is right now on live game, it gives 25%. It also does some other
What's
things.
the cooldown on that again? Actually,
I think it's a minute. It's a good cooldown. I have a list. I'm just too lazy to look it up right now.
Yeah, all right.
But I think it's 60 seconds. I'll put it in the description for anyone watching on YouTube. I'll put in the description if there's 60 or not. But it's a good feat. Like if there's 4 enemies around, it's 25. There's no enemies around, it's 0. Then it goes 10, 15, 20, and 25. Like the tier 3 feat that heals, the second wind goes 25, 40, 65, 80. Wait, actually, I think I messed it up. 25, 40, 25 if there's no enemies. 1 enemy, that's 40. 55 if there's 2 enemies. If there's 3 enemies, that's 75, and if there's 4 enemies, that's 85. That's how it goes. It's really strong, extremely strong. So that's Jung Jun. That took a while for a character that feeds the hero. But that's Jung Jun. Anyone played Nusha a lot?
I played quite a bit in Nexia actually.
Okay, so how is Nusha? How is she? How is 400 MS the hero?
Yeah, if JJ feats the hero, Nexia is definitely 400 MS the hero. Every time I play her, I feel like I ask myself the question, why am I playing this character when I can play Orochi, Berserk, or PK and do literally the same thing, but it feels more engaging.
Sorry, is Crack and Shujak, is Kawaii lagging for you as well, like going a little bit robotic?
Yes.
And I wonder if that's an issue of Discord, or if it's Kawaii. Let's see.
I'm not connected to another Discord and check.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, Kawaii's back. Is he? Okay, let me talk about Shaolin then. I'm gonna talk about Shaolin and we'll check to see if Nusha works. Sorry if Kawaii can. Oh, my cat really wants to talk about this. I think I might let him talk. Fuck, I hate this cat. Hello.
How's my voice?
A little bit robotic still.
Okay.
Truja, can you talk maybe? Maybe it is a Discord issue.
I think it might be a Discord issue.
It's a Discord issue. Okay. Huh. Okay, so if it's a Discord issue, we might try to just move to a different Discord maybe. But for now, let me talk about Shaolin, and once I'm done with Shaolin, if it still persists, then we can go to somewhere else. Actually, yeah, let's move right now. Actually, just to make sure. Hello.
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 All right.
Hello.
All right. It works now.
Yeah.
So it was a Discord issue, but because of how we changed Discord, you're not gonna be able to see who's talking on the overlay. But I think you're gonna be able to tell by now who it is. Thank you, Prisma, for joining the Discord as well. I think we just need to let Crack know that we changed Discords. All right. So Nusha, talk to me about Nusha Kawaii.
So when playing Nexia in 1v1, I played her a bit in 1v1s and I played her a bit in 4v4s. She's definitely better in 1s. But when you play Nexia, it just feels like, why am I playing this character when I can play Orochi or Berserk and do the exact same thing and have just overall better moves and more engaging moves, to be honest. Nexia's kit is not engaging in the slightest. It's just here I'm throwing a heavy to get into my chain, and then I'm throwing a heavier light, and then I'm throwing a heavier light, and that's pretty much it. And that's all you're doing in ones.
Yep.
Traps are basically entirely useless, and you use traps like once, maybe twice around, if to like mix your opponent up if they're looking for the 400 ms light to block it. But like, that's it. In fours, it's just same thing. Why am I playing this character when I can be playing Zerk? or Orochi.
Mhm.
If I play Orochi, I can 1v1 better. I can kill creeps just a little bit faster. My feats are about the same. I mean, Caltrops
Yeah,
is very good.
Caltrops, yeah,
I
that's a very strong feat. Like it clears
Caltrops
minions
is
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
Is a really good feat, and Nyx is probably the best assassin besides like Zerk at getting her feats because she can clear minions really well.
and the Caltrops
Uh,
is amazing.
but like, there's no reason to pick her over Zerk or Shaman
Mm-hmm.
in fours at all.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
just no
bullshit.
reason. They just
Hello.
do the exact same thing but better.
All right. So that's Nusha. Now, do we have anyone about Tiandi? I feel like Tiandi is just a boring character. Is there anyone has played Tiandi in any way?
I played him a little bit.
You can talk about him then.
Well, from last test to this test, he's a pale imitation of what he was.
Yeah.
Some of the nerfs were warranted, and some of them, like the damage nerfs, they weren't really needed. Now we can Palm Strike is completely worthless now because it's a guaranteed GB if you dodge it, no matter what hero you are.
Yeah.
Basically, the only thing he really has going for him is his strong defense with his dash heavies and the iframes he has.
Yeah. So they nerfed the offense and did not nerf the defense. Is kind of the usual of Ubisoft, I guess. When it
Don't
comes to this
don't
character.
forget Tree Tag. He is A tier viable because he also has 400 MS lights.
Oh, he does have
He does.
400 chain.
Whoa, he can do the same thing that 3 other characters can do in ones, and that's it for offense.
But he has good defense with that as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ubisoft. His feats, I'll talk, I guess, a little bit about feats. His feats were nerfed significantly. Some of them are still good. He still has morale booster, which is broken. And it's interesting how they nerfed what did they Fear Itself, Sharpened Blade, all those feats, but then they left Second Wind and morale booster in the game. This the same way they are, and Spear Stomp barely nerfed with cooldown. But yeah, so he still has good feats, but not as good as they were. And yeah, morale booster is still extremely strong. Now, is there anything else? Probably not about Tiandi, unless Jiragu have anything else to say.
Nope, not really. He's mediocre now.
Okay, so Shao then, in 1v1 he's very good against assassins because of his 400 MS light and because of his kick / undodgeable mix-up that actually works against assassins. It doesn't quite work very well against steady guard characters. It can still work, but it's half the time they will dodge your undodgeable. They will They will block your undodgeable, and then of course every time you kick, they will dodge and get a guard break. Not every time you kick, but if they dodge the guard break, kick, they will get a guard break. So with assassins, it's just a.
Isn't that guard break? You don't get guard break on dodge to kick, no?
No, every time you dodge kick, you get the guard break.
On TND?
On Shaolin.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh no!
Remind me.
Oh no! Craig, please no. But yeah, going back to Shaolin, every time you dodge a kick, it's a guard break, right? Which can lead to, if you're Raider, 55 damage. And just again, but I don't want to sell him short. He is good in 1v1 in general. He's good against assassins, as I said, because of his 400 MS light from neutral and his chain light 400 MS, which is very entertaining gameplay, very riveting. And then he has the kick mix-ups that actually work against assassins. Against the league characters, he doesn't have the 400 MS neutral light because it is useless as offense. As interruption, it's of course still usable. What else? He has the 400 MS light against the digger characters, like from chain, and the kick mix-up is not quite as potent, but maybe you can still use it every now and then. Maybe you can guess which direction they're dodging or what their guard is gonna be. And then in Breach, he's very good because of his, well, not very good. He's usable because of his feats and because of all the things I mentioned. He has very strong tier 2 and tier 3 and tier 4 feats, extremely strong. Especially the tier 3 is kind of broken, just like JJ's feat. is like a better second wind. This is like a better heal on block that also, like, not really heal on block, but well, either way it's broken. What I'm trying to say, it heals on parries. You get parried out of key stance. It heals your teammates and you for like 12 or 15 health. I can't remember exactly, but it's either way. It's just ludicrous. So is the JJ tier 3 feat, right? So the tier 3 feats for Shaolin and JJ both gonna need nerfs, 100%.
No, please no nerf.
Please no nerf. And then
No, that's all I have.
that's all I have. It's most of what I have, bro, as well. And the tier 4 for Shaolin has 80-second cooldown, which is a very weird number, but it's very strong. It can teleport you to an ally globally. It works on captains as well. So you get the revenge, you can use it, for example, to get out of a bad fight. Tier 2, 35-second cooldown, very, very strong. Guarantees 20 damage. If they're unlocked, guarantees 35 because the unblockable is guaranteed. It's a very nice feat. It does, of course, generate revenge and things like that, but you have to just be careful with how you use it. Yeah, it's a very strong feat. Generally, Shaolin is quite strong. He was nerfed quite significantly for no reason whatsoever. But he still somehow ends up being okay-ish. Now in Breach specifically, or in 4v4 in general, he ends up being okay-ish. He might be like a possible 4th pick if someone really likes Shaolin. Just like JJ, I think could be a possible 4th pick for a team if someone really likes JJ. So that's kind of for Breach specifically, of course. Because for Breach, Raider is 100% a must-have. Then you have like Nobushi Kensei, who are obviously both very, very strong, but you can have maybe one of them, and then Zerker for a third pick, for example, and then a 4th pick would be like Highlander or Shaolin or JJ or something like that. JJ has a better second wind, so if Zerker, for example, doesn't have second wind, which that usually is an issue in Breach, well then now he has Bounty Hunter and he has JJ's tier 3 feat, right? So that kind of works. Despite not having a second wind, he might kind of that issue is not as big because he does JJ on the team. So and then Shaolin works similarly with being able to heal his team, but also being slightly better in team fights than in general in fights. So yeah, Shaolin might be like a possible 4th pick. Tiandi not really, Nushan definitely not. But yeah, JJ and Shaolin would be like possible 4th picks, but I don't think at the highest level. I think at the highest level they won't be, but at kind of like for tournaments at like our level right now, because we haven't been playing the game for like 3 months competitively, so the levels dropped. So probably right now if there were a tournament we could play them and do just fine. I don't know if that would be the case if there were big tournaments all the time, but either way, like when it comes to how fun they are, I think Shaolin is very fun. Tiandi I think is extremely boring. Nusha is somewhat fun, but just because you can press some buttons, but once you realize that those buttons are extremely boring, you don't have a lot of fun, I think. Although obviously it depends on the person. And then JJ, I mean, Craig seems to like him a lot, so I guess he can be too boring. So I think that's the characters in general. Like, is there anything else you guys would like to say about the characters? Because I don't really have anything. Just Shaolin, please revert the nerfs. We might have an actual 4th character, possibly, and then the 1v1 he'd be a lot better as well. JJ, please give him a kit. Nusha, please give her a kit. Tiandi, please give him a kit. When are the reworks for the new characters coming? Ubisoft, I hope season 9. Maybe miss season 8 would be nice.
I mean, Zhang Jun, if you haven't seen him slow walk, it's fucking dope.
Oh. Huh.
Absolutely dope.
So that's the kit.
That's the kid.
Oh, okay.
He's got amazing feats, and he walks like he does.
Huh. Okay. Kawaii, you have anything to say?
All these characters, like except for Tiandi, aren't really good for their unique, like character design, I guess. Like
yeah,
they're
the
sort
unique
of
400 MS lights.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say Tiandi for his dodge attacks with all the iframes, but they're like unique, like things, like the things that they were kind of advertised for, or like that, like Ubi advertised them for. They weren't. They don't seem like good for those.
Was Shaolin kinda? Because I don't know if he was. Keystone is okay-ish in 1v1, and it's good. It's okay in 1v1. It's not the best in 4v4, obviously, because it gives a lot of revenge, but it can be okay in 44 as well. So I guess Shaolin kind of works, but then Lucia was, you cannot defend against her because of her trap mechanic. If you block, you lose. I was like, no, that's not, nope. Tiandi is like this simple character that has a lot of basic mix-ups. All of them work. Nope, not for 100 slides. Jade, this team fight hero, this Chinese hero, this big AoE, big big I know hitboxes. Nope, not really. And so this is where we are right now. So hopefully characters will get the reworks very soon, but obviously they will not. Okay, so for the character, I think that's it. Is there anything else when it comes to marching fire that you guys would like to talk about? Because obviously there's the voices that are like they're funny to me. I don't think ranked is getting any changes from what we know. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything to talk about still. I mean, obviously we could talk about Breach for a long time or about the characters a little bit more, but
would you consider the feat changes?
The feat changes.
Oh yeah, the feat nerfs. Okay, let me go to my thread actually.
Because that is something.
That's pretty big. Yeah. Okay, so let me go to my feat nerfs thread just to make sure that I can tell you guys. Okay. Alright. So this might look a little bit weird on stream, but either way, what matters here is that I don't know if you can even read this. Actually, let me maybe zoom in so you can read it. Okay, so all the feat nerfs. Let me change the feat nerfs. So those are the changes in terms of feats. I think I changed. Yeah, I think I called the thread all the feat changes. I think this title here on the stream is better. Feat nerfs in the open test, and as far as I know, they will be all the nerfs in marching fire as well. Maybe there might be a few more. I'm not exactly sure. So I just want to go down the list. So chilling stare is now not a feat. It makes it lowers the defense of the attacker of the opponent by 15% instead of 25. Has 2-minute cooldown. It does not debuff their attack anymore. It's just not a feat. Unblockable, 20-second duration, 150-second cooldown. It's still okay. That's I think that's mostly fine. Sharpened blade now deals 10 damage instead of 20 for each time you hit someone. Bleed cap is 20 as well. And cooldown is reduced to 150 seconds. That's actually but increased. Sorry, that's a typo. It's increased to 150 seconds from 120. Duration down to 20 from 30. Craig, I can hear my voice in your microphone every now and then.
Oh, apologies.
Then arrow strike damage nerfed to 45, but it does have a wider AOE and a slightly quicker startup. The AOE does not seem to animation does not seem to support. Let me show you guys. This is what the animation looks like in game. And it doesn't seem to support that there is wider AOE, but I tested it. The wider AOE is actually there. Now Arrow Storm's been there because obviously, as you know, I think everyone here will agree that it was a big issue with how strong Arrow Storm was. I'm happy they're finally looking at it. Shield Basher 6 damage out of 10. Catapult looks very well done. I'm happy that it's being nerfed. Reddit has finally got the nerfs they wanted. This is a very, very well done animation, and I'm happy they worked on it. Pugnamord is 40 damage out of 60 because cooldown increased to 150 seconds from 120. Ignizimber 65, that's fine. Spearstorm, still no sound cue, that's all you have to know. Slip through 25% damage instead of 35. Damage increase on dashes. All trap feats are now bad. That's not what the patch note says. Oh, it says you can only have one of each at a time. So you can have a stun trap and a bear trap, but you can have two of them at the same time. Stun Trap cooldown reduced to 60 to kind of compensate the nerf. Fear itself duration is down to 20, and it doesn't debuff their stamina anymore. Doom Banner has been nerfed because as just like Catapult, just like Pugna Mortis, just like Slip Through, Arrow Storm, it was a big issue in the game. It was very poorly balanced. It was too strong. Ki cooldown increased to 60 seconds from 45 and affects allies, so now you can grief your team as much as you want. So these are the changes to the feeds. I just want to go straight, like just read them all, although probably most of you have already known this. So what are some of the feat nerfs that kind of stick out to you guys?
Catapult.
Okay.
Catapult, Shield Basher, Chilling Stare, Sharp Blade, Slip Through.
Don't just read the list.
I'm man, you know.
Chilling Stare needed a nerf.
Yeah, but it did not. It did not need to be removed from the game.
Chilling Stare got removed from the game. The Shield Basher nerf is like, how many more bashes is it? It's like 7 bashes now to kill someone.
Yeah.
It's 18. No, it's wait 6. But I mean, I'm just saying how much damage you get. You get 13 spells, like that's 19 damage per.
It's like
so
7 bashes to kill someone. I think
something like that. I'm not doing math on stream. I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing it either. But it's like Tonk's pretty. Yeah.
So Arrow Storm, that's good. Finally looking at some of the broken feats. Catapult, I'm happy that they finally introducing some feat feints. I was looking for that for a while. I'm just waiting for the next one to be Longbow, where you can kind of just put it away, put it on the ground, and just leave it, just walk away. And then it hits you anyway 5 seconds later. That's like the Catapult is doing here. I'm happy about that. I think it takes 3 seconds for it to land. I said here. I'm not sure if I counted it. I think I did. But and there's also, sorry, before I give you guys the mic again, there's a few other changes, like Pugna Mortis, Igneous Ember have smaller AoEs and things like that, but I didn't want to like kind of clutter the thread with 1 meter less or something like that. That kind of sounds boring, so I just wanted to have the big changes in there. And I guess again, let's kind of, you can continue talking about the changes that kind of stick out to you, and why they stick out to you.
Well, the biggest one for me was Catapult. I'm not too happy about that because they basically removed that feat from the game.
It looks really cool though.
Yeah, it looks really cool and great animations and visuals on it. But out of all the meta tier 4s, it was probably the worst of them, because it couldn't be used everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, you got about as many kills with a Catapult as you did with Sharpened Blade.
Yeah.
Just like a PK with Sharpened Blade killed like 2 to 3 people, 3 being rare, 2 usually being standard. A good Catapult killed 1 to 2, unless you were Rave, then it killed your teammates. But like, I don't know, the tendency I'm getting pissed by the tendency of Ubisoft to nerf things before they're a problem, and then not fix things that are a problem. So Aerostorm Slit Through being nerfed before Shaman. Good job, Ubi. Thank you.
I mean, Shaman takes, ganking of Shaman takes a lot of skill, whereas, here you just press a button, like you just deflect and you get more damage. That's pretty broken.
Yeah, it's my win button, dude. Bring it back. Come on.
Yeah, my passive ability is my win button. And it's passive again. Like, this makes no sense.
Slip Through only working on one hero, and then that hero not being good in 4s until the guard switch bug. Since Orochi was the only hero that could use that feat reliably.
What else is here? The Aerostorm one, it's just too stupid to even like entertain any thought about it. Honestly, I think the Aerostrike one is the only somewhat of a buff, although the animation is still amazing, just like on the Catapult. But in general, the idea here seems to be to lower the strength
impact.
Yeah, the strength of like just simply the strength of feats. Feels like here was the idea to just lower it. But all they did is they just nerfed feats. They didn't lower the power level. They nerfed feats. So morale booster, second wind, spear storm. I don't know what else. I don't know, like smoke bomb. Body guns mostly fine. I think it's fine, even though it's how strong it is. What?
Besides arrow strike, was there even a feat buff?
No, arrow strike.
Okay.
Which is somewhat of a buff, yeah, because the AOE. What else? Like a really strong thing is feat. A slippery still in the game.
Nabuki is a really good feat. Where you regen less stamina than the ability costs to use on a hero that hits once really hard and then spends most of his stam dashing around. Nice, good job, Ubi.
And yeah, like the idea again seems let's lower the power level, but it's literally let's nerf some feats, leave the others the same. Like the biggest offenders in the game, let's leave them the same. Spear Storm, Morale Booster, Second Wind. Fucking JJ's third feat, let's leave them the same. And let's just nerf some, so there's even less choice. I think that's a great idea. Then also it's like lowering power level. It's like it's kind of like I used to talk about this when Warlord got nerfed really hard, right? And Kensei got reworked to like being a real character. And for me it felt like both of the people, like the guy making Warlord and the guy making Kensei, they got the same kind of like the same directive. Like Kensei guy got make Kensei on the level of Warlord, and then the Warlord guy heard it and I'm like, this is easy, I'm just gonna make Warlord the level of Kensei, and he just make him trash, right? So this is what it feels like right now. It's like it's somewhat what it feels like right now. Let's nerf some feats, but the other ones, no. Let's, instead of making all feats good, let's make all feats bad, except the ones that are actually good. Like those ones, like, those are fine. Those are the 1%. Those are okay. But every other feat, let's make them like slippery. Like let's add more chilling stairs, like the way that it's gonna be in the open test. Instead of adding more unblockables, like actually fun feats that are good. It's just like, is this where the game's going? Is Reddit balancing the video game?
I just hate the idea, because in a lot of cases for characters, it's not that like the abilities are getting like nerfed and you're getting more choices. It's just that
you're losing choices.
Or even in cases that you're losing choices. In some cases, it's just like for when I play Shinobi, right, as all my tier 3s got, or my two tier 3s that weren't useless got nerfed.
And I mean, what does Conk run as a tier 4 feat now?
Yeah, what does Conk run?
Regenerate?
Most probably regenerate.
Oh, and maybe uninterruptible. Maybe that's pretty good.
Yeah, you run the very, very, very well-designed uninterruptible feat where you become Shigoki for 30 seconds and GB every indicator and then win the game. Like in a 1v1 and then do nothing else. Because that's really fun against. It's just like, I don't know, it's just like you feel so much less impactful as a player than you did last patch with the abilities. Like you just feel like you're not having, your impact was nerfed and like your choices are still basically the exact same, or in some cases removed.
I would be okay if like the things that needed to be nerfed, you'd nerf, but not killed. Like Punch-Through. That's a great example. It needed to be nerfed,
but they
removed it from the game. Yeah, they removed it from the game.
Yeah, Catapult, that didn't need to be nerfed, but maybe for like lower level players, okay, I get that they're terrible at the game, but then again, there's 50 other feats that are issues for lower level players, and there's 50 other characters that are issues for the lower level players. But okay, sure, but fucking Spear Storm, really? Spear Storm is being left as it is, no sound cue. Chilling Star, sure, too strong. Remove them from how? Why do you remove? Well, no, Chilling Star got nerfed, right? Why did it get removed from the game? Moral Booster, nah, that's fine. That's fine. That's a tier 4 feat. This should be strong. Wait, so the parry
Also with
does official
feet,
as well.
they've kind of removed it. They even nerfed it in this one too.
Yeah,
they
they
made
did.
it smaller.
Yeah, they made like every
Make
AoE
AI.
smaller pretty much. They made startups of traps quicker though for some of them. Like fire trap, for example, is a lot quicker.
May I interject?
Hello.
Also, Shaman Gank was left alone.
Yes.
But that's fine. But that's difficult.
That's not a problem.
Just as a PSA.
No,
That is all.
that's fine because like a lower level player would just hit into a shaman gang instead of actually getting the damage, so that's fine. But then someone getting hit by catapult will not run away because there's a big arrow, big red indicator telling him to run away. He will not run away because that would only make sense.
Don't forget the massive screaming voice line, the animation that plays on the hero that's using it, all these indications that hey, there's a catapult going off, and the like you're probably not getting hit by it unless you're already in an animation, and then it's good. Then that means that it's your opponent using catapult well rather than you getting outplayed by the feet.
It's just. I mean, some of them are like the arrow strike ones. Cool. They slightly buffed one of the worst fits in the game. Cool. Why though? Why that one thing and not the everything? Like it just feels like they've pick one. Like okay, like they just Google, like they just go on Reddit and they just like catapult. See how many threads? 500. Okay, we're nerfing that one. Slip through. How many threads? 400. Okay, we're nerfing that one. Spear Storm, only 5 threads. Okay, and no reason to nerf that. Let's leave that for later. Maybe for another 2 or 3. Maybe we can make it then. What other feed? Morale booster. Warden's fine. Everything's okay. Morale booster is fine. No reason to nerf that. Not many threads. It just feels absolutely random. I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to rant on Ubisoft again. Other than some of the other podcasts. Okay, so I think that's gonna be about it for today's podcast.
I'm gonna go cry now.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's about it. So actually no, there's Q&A. I just realized there's Q&A.
Oh yeah.
There's Q&A.
No
so
crying.
No crying yet, guys. If you have any questions, then please ask them in general, like about the game or about really anything we talked about, or just in general. What about perks? We already talked about them at the very beginning. Well, we talked about Shinobi and then about perks. Has anybody found out the meta heroes for Breach other than Raider? Zerker is extremely
I would say Kensei and Zark.
Kensei or Nobushi, Zerker, and then the fourth might be the fourth might be just Kensei, Nobushi, Zerker, Raider, for example. That'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty strong. Do you think it's likely that these are one part of the changes to feats, and in October they will nerf the untouched ones? No. Ubisoft doesn't make changes quick, and there's only a month.
I think if this was any other company, that would be pretty realistic. But this is Ubisoft, where they nerf everything once per season. They make changes once a season because it's better for marketing.
If Matching Fire released exactly the same as the test, what would everyone rate out of 10? Depends for what. For competitive, like 2 out of 10. For fun, 7 out of 10, I think, for me. Just because the issues with Breach, where the attackers are having just a bad time playing the video game, and the defenders are not having a great time either. Especially if one team is way better than the other. But generally, I would say 7, and that's without me playing the arcade mode, which I heard is amazing. I don't know what about you guys.
There's someone asking about Pong.
Is Kong confirmed retarded?
No, the one above that. The one above that, Ali.
I would rather talk about that one. He's quite interesting. Is Kong just gone as a first pick? Not in Dominion. In Breach, he's terrible.
Then Breach is terrible, and Dom, he's
still going to be.
He's going to be playable, but not as playable.
Yep. How fucked do you think the competitive scene is on console right now? The competitive scene in general is pretty fucked. Why is he bad in Breach? He doesn't have the best minion clear. He doesn't provide very well. Like 1v1 is okay, but I mean, if you're looking for a character for 1v1, there's better choices. his feeds are not very good anymore. Like he has heal on block, right, and obviously body count, but that's about it. If you're looking again for feeds, you have better things. He cannot gank very well. He just doesn't give any much. Do you think any of the heroes will be a top pick for twos? No. What do you guys think of JJ in twos? No.
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 Nope.
No hitboxes. Do you think the breach is a little too bumpy for competitive right now? It has yes, it's too bumpy. It is possible to make it. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about for breach is the winning conditions. Actually,
Yeah, it has no win conditions for tournament.
we don't know how to win game.
Yeah.
Like
How do you decide a game between two players in a tournament?
like how do I win game? Like Ubisoft, how win? I don't know how win. So we can't really make it competitive.
Just win
because of
both
that.
matches, idiot.
Yeah, Lamau forehead. Then the other thing is the just winning condition, and yeah, that's the big thing. And then the other big thing is that it's the mode itself that's simply not ready because of some issues like the boosts, the discrepancies between the two sides, things like that. But I think it's close. Like if there was spectator mode and winning conditions, I think it'd be way closer to being competitive if they just fixed the mode. It's like because winning conditions is extremely important.
PK viable in Dom, yes.
Yes, she's very good in Dominion.
Very good.
Fiat Lux has been nerfed, so it's not like broken. Actually, Fear itself and Sharp is being nerfed next patch, so maybe in Season 8 she won't be good. But for now,
I don't think she'll be good in Season 8, but right now she's good.
Right now she's good. Did you test the heal spot smoke bomb thing? Yes, Dougal, it works. So if you're a character with a smoke bomb, you can pop the smoke bomb on a healing zone, and it works just like any other zone with a smoke bomb. Is Naruchi now trash in Dominion? Well, he's been buffed thanks to the guard switch bug fix. But yeah, with the feats, that's a pretty big nerf for him. I don't think he's trash because he can 1v1, but there's better characters for 1v1 as well, so not very good. No. What feats?
He's good. He's good currently. In the current patch, he's pretty good because the feats are on nerf and the guard switch bug is gone.
Yep.
So currently, he's good.
Yeah.
Until Scorching Fire comes out, he's good.
Yeah. Maybe it's decided by whoever had more time left in the round. There's many ways to decide it. It's just that we don't know. Like, there's many ways you could do that. Many ways, like tickets, phase, run progression, roughly, time, fucking takedowns, renown, whatever. Many different ways. But we don't know. We don't know what, like, Ubisoft needs to tell us, like, okay, here's all the information, you can then you can choose or something like that. What feats are the most in need of a buff? Half the feats in the game are in need of a buff, and I don't think there's any that need most. I think just half the feats in the game need a buff. Just like half the characters in the game need a buff. How would you nerf Dodgel? Add the Garbage vulnerability to what is, I think, the easiest way. What character do you think will still be viable in Dominion Season 8?
Which one will no longer be viable? Will Raider jump up in strength?
We don't know if the Raider thing is supposed to be like that or not. So if he is supposed to be like that, then I mean, of course, he's gonna be stronger. But in terms of Dominion, I don't think anything really changes. PK is worse. Orochi is worse. Lawbringer is still really good. Kansas is still really good. Nobushi is still really good. Shaman is still really good. Warden is still really good. Meta has
Conk,
changed.
so Conk is the only character that Conk kind of got removed, so the Meta actually got nerfed.
Well, in Dominion, I don't think he got removed, but you wouldn't run Conk this patch anyway. Like you run, there's one team comp. But I guess Zerker might be like an addition instead of a character, but they did nothing to Shaman. No, they nerfed her. They nerfed her feats. They nerfed the traps. Why is Conk shite in Breach? Did we talk about it? Yes. But I can just really quickly say bad minion clear, mediocre feats, nothing really. Like he doesn't provide anything. Okay 1v1, but there's characters better for 1v1. Very bad team fights. He doesn't provide anything.
If it's too much revenge.
How relevant is the smoke bomb effect in Breach? Enough to make Nobu higher pick over Kansai? Kansai has smoke bomb as well. But it is important, yeah. How do you fucking dodge Valk heavy so faint to shoot bash? Like we can talk about it later.
Dodge on light timing.
Well, if you dodge on light timing, you can maybe get hit by the heavy sometimes. You have to dodge a little bit later than the light timing. But generally speaking, I can talk about that later. What about his perks? Are they all offensive? Orochi? Yeah, well, he's an assassin, so he should have offensive feats, perks. In the open test, did you get a bug where you were unable to use your feats? I think that's a UI bug, and it's not that you cannot use your feats, they're just on cooldown, but they lie to you that they're not on cooldown. What do you think of the new heroes overall? We already talked about them. Oh, thank you, Kat. Dodged my question. What question? Sorry, I did not. Why? Wait, what? Where is it? Why did they bring back Alnox and attempt to fix spin attacks while fixing neither? The Alnox that are the quote-unquote Alnox are absolutely terrible. But don't ask me why. Are there any perks that really stand out to you? Yes, all the defender ones.
All the defender ones are pretty decent. All the offensive ones are
pretty bad.
You just want you just are pretty bad, except the ones that heal you. That's pretty much it.
Yep. Any other questions? We can answer. If not, then but yeah, going back to the heroes, I'm happy with them being in the game. I'm not happy with how they are in the game. If there's any other questions, we'll still be here for a few minutes. If not, then we can just kind of head off. So let's wait a second. But yeah, when it comes to perks, the defensive ones are just way better than the offensive ones, which is an issue, but on the other hand, it's better than perks, better than gear, sorry. Poll. Oh yeah, make sure to vote in the poll, by the way. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be a link in the description or in the comment. So we'll just check that down below. But yeah, make sure to vote in the poll for what character you would like to see next. Okay, I think that's about it for the questions. So thank you guys for being here with me today. Kawaii, thank you. Kat really wants to say thank you as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Realistically, do you think there will be buffs before release? No.
No.
Maybe thank you, Kat. Thank you, Kat. Maybe launching 4 Heroes of the Month was just too much work for you. That's why they're bad. I don't think so.
That's why they're meh. No, because they spent.
I don't think that's how. I don't think that's a reason, because they had all the time in their world for Orochi and PK reworks, and those are trash.
And those were meh.
Yeah.
Don't forget the Warden and
Bulk.
who else got Oh yeah, Val. I even forgot Val got reworked.
Big rework.
Big reworks. Warden got like the same level of rework that Sent did. He got a new move and a new chain, and his shoulder bash got buffed. And
these make him good. No other rework has, except season 5, has made characters good. They're probably the best designed heroes in the game so far, just undertuned. Shaolin is really well designed. JJ and the others are kind of meh. I think Tiandi is okay. Maybe the design is okay, but in general, I would say many characters are okay designed. It's just that the execution's trash, and just like
Tiandi is well designed. His execution's trash. Nuxia isn't is kinda well designed.
Well, that depends.
Your execution is really trash.
Well, that depends whether you like the trap mechanic or not. Whether if you're gonna figure.
I like the fact that they're trying a new mechanic. So because I think there's definitely room with some creativity, to introduce mechanics to the game.
I like
the simplicity.
I like the new displace mechanic that they're trying to add. I think that's cool.
What displacement?
The displace mechanic, like they added on Valk and Nuxia, where attacks can now displace you. Like the heavy finishers for Nuxia and the light finishers for Valk.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I don't know what the official term is.
I don't think there's an official term.
Yeah, I'm just calling. I'm not gonna call it like grapple, because it's not like a grapple. It's like a displacement tool, like a throw and a move.
Yeah, that's cool.
They're weird though. They're the only things that I've tested that go through super armor. It's very weird.
All right, so I think that's gonna be about it for the podcast. So thank you guys for all the questions. Thank you for watching. We had nice viewers today. I'm gonna be still streaming after this, so if you want to stick around, watch some Marching Fire gameplay, you can. If not, then if you were here just for the podcast, then thank you very much for watching. Kawhi, do you have anything to say at the end? Maybe you stream, maybe you do something else. What do you do?
I've been picking up streaming a bit more, mostly streaming Shinobi gameplay. Some of the other heroes sometimes.
Okay. And your
Mostly
Twitch
playing
is
with
just
my boy
two.
Alex.
Yeah, your Twitch is just two
Yeah.
Kawaii 4_you, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so
what's
this is-
on your overlay.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll have the link in the description. So do you plan on streaming more or?
I'm trying to stream more. I don't have like a consistent schedule,
Okay.
but I'm just trying to stream more.
All right. Crank, well, thank you for being here as well. Will you be?
GG.
When will you be streaming next?
I'm
And maybe
not
videos.
sure.
Maybe
I don't have a consistent schedule. I mean,
maybe
I
videos
usually
then.
just tweet about it and stuff.
Okay.
Probably Zhang video either tomorrow or the next day,
Okay.
because I'm only going to be playing him for the foreseeable future when it does come out.
Okay. Thank you. And Tree Drag, you don't really do anything, so thank you for being here.
You're a tree. What do you do?
What do you
Subscribe
do?
to Alernakin.
What do you do?
Subscribe to Alernakin. There you go.
Yeah, please make
Subscribe
sure.
to twitch.tv/Alernakin.
September?
Oh yeah,
Only
September
55
starting.
minutes away, chat. We can keep this podcast going.
We can make this work.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, for me it's already midnight, so I don't know if it works already or not.
Oh, maybe,
Maybe.
chat.
Try.
You can get $1
Try. If you
Try.
give
Have
the
Have
sub,
you
try.
seen the subscriber badge? Tell me you don't want that.
Tell. I bet you
I don't
do.
see anyone in chat telling me they don't want it.
Everyone's telling me they want it.
Thirsty bastards.
Dirty bastards. Okay, so
Thirsty.
okay, thank you. Actually, I think I should. Nina in my chat is saying that Twitch just made a new sub sound. I think by saying that subscribe to twitch.tv/Alernakin. But I think what should be a new follower sound.
That should be the
Is-
follow.
Yeah, that should be the follow sound. They should have.
Crank up the volume on it when you're adding it.
Yeah, X name should have stopped, and then also that notification I think should be what it is. Well, all right. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching. And that's gonna be about it. So see you guys next time in 2 weeks. Should be same time, same place. So if you're watching on YouTube, hope you enjoyed it as well. And yeah, thank you for watching.